Good evening. I call to order this September 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Blair Mayor and City Council. I am Mindy Rump, the Mayor of Blair, and I am pleased that you have joined us this evening. This is a public meeting and you are part of the process. I encourage you to participate, share your thoughts, and I want you to feel comfortable, so I will do everything that I can to make sure that your voice is heard. We do have several rules to help us proceed with the meeting, and I ask that you please keep them in mind. If you have a cell phone, please turn it off. If you need to take a call, step outside the chamber. When you wish to speak, simply raise your hand and I will acknowledge you and you can come forward to the podium. Brenda Wheeler, our city clerk, must record who you are, so please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address. Keep your remarks brief, about 3 minutes, so that others have the opportunity to speak. And please direct your remarks to either myself, city council, or to city staff. A copy of the Open Meetings Act has been posted by both exits, and we will begin this evening with the roll call of members.
Banner.
Present.
Paulson.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Willis.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Letcher.
Yep.
Highfield.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. If you'd please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 4, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 5, consider approval of a special designated liquor license for El Vallarta Mexican Restaurant, 1995 Ridgeview Road, Blair, for a beer garden on October 2nd, 2025 for the Art Alley Pop-Up Night Market at 1709 Washington Street. Mr. Rooks.
Hi, Mike Rooks, R-O-O-K-S, 11961 South 113th Avenue, Papillion, Nebraska, 68046. I'm here on behalf of El Vallarta and Gateway and the Chamber to get approval for our liquor license for our pop-up market. We will be serving beer and wine. El Vallarta will be. We're having a s'mores bar. We're having 5 different vendors. We have a food truck. It is from 6 until 8:30. I'm guessing 6 till 9. Probably will bleed out to that. But it'll be our first event. Hopefully all of our lights will be up by then. We've had a little rain, so it hasn't been as good as it should be, but still. What questions do you have for me?
How much is beer?
I don't know.
Any other questions?
Is this first of many planned for, is there any more planned for the fall?
Yes. Our goal, as long as this goes off without a hitch, I know we'll at least have one more we're working on right now. I don't want to spread it yet, but yes, we have at least one more coming up.
It says October 2nd, starts at what's that?
6 o'clock.
Six.
That's too bad. How late? How late's it gonna go?
I'm going to say 9 o'clock. It says, I think it's 6:30, 8:30. It's a small window, but I'm just adding that in there just to be on the safe side.
That's great.
If there are no other questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks.
Any comments from the public? Having none, how would council like to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve or recommend approval of a special designated liquor license for El Vallarta Mexican Restaurant for a beer garden on October 2nd, 2025 for the Art Alley Pop-Up Night Market at 1709 Washington Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend approval of the special liquor license for El Vallarta for the pop-up night. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, consider approval of a special designated liquor license for Nelson's Bar and Grill, 310 North Oakland Avenue, Oakland, Nebraska, 68045 on November 1st, 2025 for the Blair Volunteer Fire Department Appreciation Dinner located at St. Francis Borgia, 2005 Davis Drive in Blair. Good evening.
Dylan Johnson, Johnsson. I have been asked to provide liquor and beer and wine for an appreciation dinner for the firemen at the Catholic Church on November 1st, 2025.
Any other questions? Pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none, how would council like to proceed?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a special designated liquor license for Nelson's Bar and Grill, 310 North Oakland Ave, Oakland, Nebraska, 68045, on November 1st, 2025, for the Blair Volunteer Fire Department Appreciation Dinner located at St. Francis Borgia, probably saying that wrong, 2005 Davis Drive, Blair, Nebraska, 68008.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend approval for the special designated liquor license for the Blair Volunteer Fire Department Appreciation Dinner. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7, consider resolution 2025-90 approving promotion of Skylar Puffer to fire captain with the Blair Volunteer Fire Department. Chief Leonard.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Staff, Fire Chief Joe Leonard. Back at our September meeting, we went through all of our hooplas that we have to do if somebody does not have the required time on the department to become an officer, which in our bylaws it states you have to have 5 years on the department before you can run for an office. Skylar showed interest in becoming a captain. He currently serves. He's been on the department 3 years. He also serves over on Fremont Fire. He's firefighter 1, firefighter 2 certified, and hopefully in the next couple years be paramedic certified. So I'm here tonight to, as the department voted to bring him on. It was a unanimous vote at the department to bring him on as a captain. So I'm here tonight to get approval from the council to move forward.
Any questions? Any comments from the public? Having none, council, how would you like to proceed?
I'd like to introduce resolution number 2025-90.
Resolution number 2025-90 was introduced by Councilmember Paulson, approving promotion of Skylar Puffer to fire captain with the Blair Volunteer Fire Department.
I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-90 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-90. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Skylar. Item number 8, I'll open a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit renewal application submitted by Royce Rentals LLC, Mike Royce and Associates, 15707 South 234th Street, Gretna, Nebraska, for the continuation of a contractor's yard and office on the west 15 feet of Lot 14 and all of Lot 15, Block 16 in the city of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, together with part of vacated street adjoining 330 North 16th Street for 10 years. Mr. Byerman.
Good evening, Mayor Rump and Council. Jeff Fireman, Community Development Director. 3 items from Planning and Zoning from the Planning Commission meeting carried over. Our first tonight is the conditional use permit CUP renewal for Royce Rentals, located in Midtown, Blair. Zoning for this area is AML, which is light manufacturing and light industrial manufacturing district. His request is for 10 years. The property right now is covered by an SUR, which is the new designation for an overlay district that in, I want to say Midtown or the central part of Blair, requires anybody in this AML area to get a CUP for any sort of industrial use so that the neighbors can have a say on whether or not they should be permitted. As you can see right here, it talks about this special use near residential. Planning Commission heard this. They did vote 6-0 to approve. We've not heard any complaints before this. We've not received any letters. Pretty much a standard renewal. Right now, I believe one of the bays is being used by Washington County Heating in there. I did talk to the applicants earlier today. They were unable to have anybody here tonight to answer any questions, although they did say we could answer questions that afterwards, which I pointed out was too late, but they just didn't have anyone, so. With that, any questions for staff on this?
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Brenda, do you have any comments in writing?
None.
Thank you. I will close the public hearing. Council, how would you like to proceed?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the conditional use permit renewal application submitted by Royce Reynolds as presented for 10 years.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the CUP submitted by Royce Reynolds. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 9, I'll open a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit application submitted by Michael Bierman, 10930 Lariat Lane, Blair, Nebraska, for the use of part of the building for golf driving range simulators on tax lot 257, section 12, township 18 north, range 11 east of the 6 p.m., city of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 660 Grant Street, for 5 years. Mr. Bierman.
Thank you again. So this next conditional use permit request is a little bit different, as in our zoning book has nothing about golf driving range simulators. Obviously, it's not that new, but the book was written quite a while ago and hasn't caught up with this. So Michael Bierman wanted to come up with the idea for teed off golf. That's just a working name right now. It's actually the place he wants to put it is in his father's workspace on Grant Street here on this part of town, and I'll show you here in a little bit. The zoning is AML, Industrial Light Manufacturing District. Again, the request is 5 years. Here's a quick little synopsis of what they want to do. When he came to me about this, we told him, he said, this is a good idea, but this might be better in other places. We started looking for other places, and it's kind of a tweener for, I know it's not a real zoning term, but it's one that's there. However, in the AML district is golf driving ranges, golf courses, and miniature golf courses and alleys. So we thought this was worthy of at least approaching council and planning commission to say, can I put this here and share part of my dad's business for this? His dad is a contractor's yard. This is what it says. Now, it's not a driving range, but it's as close as we could find. He did also agree that someplace better like AML on the highway, or excuse me, ACH or something like that might be a better idea. But again, this is starting out, and he's just trying to get an idea if the idea even works. Planning Commission did listen to this. They recommend approval, 6-0. We're looking at this parcel right here, 660 Grant Street. Again, it's AML, this part. Actually, part of ACH does come across the corner. Across the street, Office Park. And this was ex-councilmember Shepherd's.
Yeah.
Marty's.
This is an idea of what the similar concept to be. It's an actual thing where they drive the golf balls into whatever screen you have. His idea is to use half of this area, similar area here with lounges, bats. He'll have parking, including ADA parking stall outside. The pad in front parking stalls themselves are padded, or are concrete already, so they've got the off-street parking taken care of. Again, this is provided by him. Here's the area here that they'll use for the contractor's yard, and this area right here. And you can read that up there. And one more view from the area here. They're going to use this half right here. So, zoning wise, I don't think we have any objection to this. Again, it's kind of one of those tweeners area. I mean, if it was a regular golf driving range, it would fit. So we'll leave it up to council to decide. Any questions for staff on this?
Has he requested or anything discussed about selling alcohol or bringing your own? I mean, I don't know if anybody that plays golf and doesn't drink beer.
That's it. I'm not a golfer, but my wife is, and I know several golfers.
I
I'm
believe
just
that-
curious, his business plan.
He has not approached me about that at this point, was not part of his plan for this. He is here tonight, I will let him happily answer any questions like that.
Thank you. Does the applicant want to come forward, please? Thank you.
Michael Bierman, Bierman, 10930 Lariat Lane, Blair, Nebraska. Questions for me, or do you want
Do you
me
want
to
to
kind of
ask
fill you
him
in?
again?
Yeah, do you have any inkling of ideas down the road of having alcohol on site, or is it BYOB, bring a cooler in with you, or how do you plan on handling that?
Good question. So, this is going to be and I don't know if you guys read or saw the article, the pamphlet that kind of came along with it. I saw it was online, but it's state of the art in that there's no staff. It's like a 24-hour fitness. So it's a membership only. People will buy a membership and then they get a badge to be able to get in. They schedule their time online. They can go up, use their badge to badge in during their allotted time to golf. Like I said, there's nobody there. I did put in there that I would love for it to be a BYOB because it is golf. People do enjoy that. There will be a lounge kind of off into the other area there that we will have TVs, ping pong, those sorts of things for people, for members if they want to kind of enjoy their time over there as well as the simulator area in that longer area. The hope is that if it takes off and there's more members, and to Jeff's point, I'm hoping to use this because my dad owns the building. We don't use the office area for a whole lot right now, and we don't need everything in the warehouse side at the moment. So this was an easy way to start without putting in a whole lot of money to purchase another building or rent another space. But if it takes off, then the theory is we could either hopefully find a bigger facility or do things like maybe even a beer garden or something if there was some sort of thing down the road for golfers. But the hope is to bring more golfers in. My goal is to get dads to bring their kids in there, so I'm trying to get some sort of a program together for dads and kids to come in and golf more because I think that's important.
How many simulators are you planning to initially go?
We're going to do two.
Two.
And one simulator can handle approximately 50 memberships, so there would be a total of 100 memberships that we would be able to handle with two simulators.
Is there going to be any type of putting green? I know some of them have that along with the simulator.
Probably not to start with. I would like to eventually have something like that. I don't know that I'll be able to get that into the space we have, but someday it is on the list.
Okay.
Would it be 24-hour access?
That's actually also a good question. Originally, we said 24/7, but the more I thought about it, a lot of stuff doesn't happen great between 12 p.m.
I
and
have a
5
little
a.m., so I
concern.
thought, I probably would do some closed hours between like midnight and 5 a.m. It allows us to do some cleaning and those sorts of things when people aren't around as well. So likely, I will do more of like a 5 a.m. to midnight or something. But I do know a lot of people have night jobs, those sorts of things too, and so they have not standard hours. But I figure 5 a.m. to midnight would probably cut for most people.
Any thoughts? I know this is early, but it's regarding like a high school golf team, being able to get some practice during the winter months, the off season and so forth. Any discount memberships? I know that's
Fantastic question. I hadn't actually thought about that. I had considered things for like corporations and things like that if they wanted to do some sort of a package or an event there or an outing. But the high school golf, that's not a bad idea. I also have not talked to, but I wanted to the golf course and see if there was some sort of partnership even with them. But- so it is still early.
Yeah.
Great question.
How soon are you looking at opening?
I really wanted December 1st, but contractors are hard to find sometimes and get moving, so because we have a little bit of build out we'll have to do.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bierman.
Thank you.
Michael.
Any other comments from the public? Any comments in writing? Thank you. I will close the public hearing. Council, what say you?
Sounds like a great idea to me.
Okay.
I mean, especially if they can help out the golf team, obviously during the off hours, and bring more interest into it. I think it'll help the golf course too, because people will maybe take up the simulator and end up out at the golf course, so it should help out the community. So I'd like, if no one has any objection, I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit application submitted by Michael Bierman for the use of part of the building for golf driving range simulators as presented for 5 years.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the CUP application submitted by Michael Bierman for the golf driving range simulators. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 10, I'll open a public hearing to consider an amendment to the City of Blair zoning regulations, Article 7, Section 701, RRE, Rural Residential Estate District, and other rural residential estate references in the zoning book by removing rural from rural residential estate titles and descriptions and modifying Article 7, Section 701 to include inside the city limits and in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. Mr. Byerman.
Thank you again. So your final zoning issue tonight is the changing of RRE, rural residential estate, just to residential estates. This was postponed from the August 5th Planning Commission. At the next Planning Commission meeting, they did vote 6-0 to approve it. There was a lot of maybe some misguided thoughts on why we're doing this and everything else. Now, a lot of the parcels that were involved in this have been moved out of the annexation, and that's gone through. But we're still going forward with this because it has to do a little bit more than just those areas we were talking about. This has to do with any sort of future area. And one reason that we decided we wanted to do these changes, that we talked about it, was when someone looks in the book and says, or reads that it's rural residential estates, and they're saying, but you're allowing rural inside the city, and we were afraid of any sort of confusions. So the whole idea about this, and we use the word rebranding, is to, as you see the red line here, get rid of, because this right here, which because of their size, we replace that so it says a permit, the idea of a residential estate is to permit the opportunity of developing estate-type lots inside city limits and in the city's ETJ. Says it right there, nothing else changes. In fact, there's been some changes in the municipal code to allow animals and such, but anything that came with RRE is still there. The only thing we're changing is dropping the word rural, so when someone looks online, they can see it, there's no confusion whether or not this can be added within the city limits. Questions for staff?
Thank you. Any comments from the public?
Rich Zelinsky, Zelensky from 8697 Victory Lane. Rural, it's kind of a funny word, but it means so much. Not urban, and it's described as a geographic area outside cities and towns that have low population density, less developed land, and a focus on agriculture. That's what we are. We'd like to stay that way. I have 2 questions. How many RRE properties are there in Washington County? And did all these property owners get a letter from the city notifying them of the zoning name change? In June, I received a letter from the city of Blair notifying me that they wanted to annex my property into the city. And in that letter, I was notified that they were going to change my zoning from RRE to RL. My property was taken out of the annex plan. Thank you, Mayor and City Council member, for that. But I do feel that was a better way to handle this, would be that when the properties are actually getting annexed by the city, to change the zoning name or any zoning at that time. Not changing the zoning before they are annexed. And the property owners should be notified of this in the form of a letter from the city prior to approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynn.
Thank
Any other comments from the public?
Hi, Christina Barta, 12861 County Road 26, Blair, Nebraska. So I kind of had the same thoughts that this might make sense inside of the city limits, but keeping the rural residential estate classification in the 2-mile bubble. I'm not sure exactly how many families are being affected by this. We don't have a map up there showing where all these locations are around the 2-mile bubble. And once an annexation occurs, it makes more sense people who do get annexed maybe drop the rural, but if the people who live in RREs define themselves as rural and it is an agricultural usage, I don't know what that does when they try and sell their property. If people are looking at listings and it says RE versus RRE, but it's outside the city limits, like, does it make it harder for them to sell their properties? What other kind of unintended consequences, ramifications might happen for people with this name change? I think I talked to one individual that said that they had, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, this is what they told me, that their mortgage rate was like better because they were on an RRE or more rural, and I don't know anything about that, but just thoughts. I know at one of the previous meetings that one of the other ladies had said there's also a lot of differences between an RRE and an RE at both the state and federal level, so I'm not sure if we have more clarification as to what those actual differences are and how it affects all these families. Do we know how many families are being affected by the name change? And if they define themselves as rural folks, they should, if they're outside of city limits, they should have that, be allowed to think of themselves as rural. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that was about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
My name is John Curtis, 12790 County Road, P26. I'm against removing rural from rural residential estates. I live in a rural area. I want to continue to live in a rural area. I didn't want to be annexed, but also thank you for removing me, Mayor and council members, from the Southwest annexation package. So I'm kind of speaking for the other people in the Blair area on removing rural. Okay? I believe, in my opinion, it's going backwards by removing the word rural. I would like to keep Blair's identity as a rural community. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? Comments from staff?
Can we ask Jeff some questions
Sure.
further?
I'll do my best.
I mean, it sounded like a simple thing to me, and I'm not a rocket scientist, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night, but just taking rural out of it, how does it affect anything?
It does not, other than it gives the idea, or if there's any misconception, if somebody's looking at the book about whether something's going to be annexed or if it can actually be within the city limits, then
Is there any monetary change in anything, or
That is-
taxes change, mortgage rate? I mean,
not that I know of, and anything like mortgage rates or what people get for the property, that is really out of control, whether it says rural or not. The federal government does not address rural. State government gives the cities and the counties the power for zoning, to give them the zoning. So this is really not affected by federal or state statutes at all. Does it sound nicer? Mr. Zelinski had talked about he was going to be brought into RL, because typically we don't bring our REs into city limits. So after some changes, it was going to be, well, if he's going to be in, we're going to keep these as is, which would be RE. In the end, it didn't matter any because it was not annexed. But if he were to be brought in as rural resident, as a residential estate with everything that's still allowed, once he's inside the city limits, when he gets annexed, nothing will change. The only thing that's changing is we're dropping the word rural just to get any future confusion whether or not it's allowed within the city limits.
Thank you.
what was the push or the purpose to drop rural? I mean, if it's just a word in the description, why not just leave it?
Well, because we're
I'm playing devil's advocate.
no, that's fine. We're
Just
kind of
interested in
thinking,
both
when somebody goes
sides.
online, and our website's just been redone. It's easy to find these things. Somebody wants to find out if they're gonna be rural. Let's say they've got a subdivision or ag and they're about to be subdivided. And they're at 3 acres, no longer eligible to be agricultural because you can't be below 10 acres or TA below 10 acres. Let's say they're right on the edge of our city limits. That means that sometime they may be brought in to the city ordinances, this or city limits. This is actually just gives them the idea ahead of time. It doesn't matter if you're inside or outside. You've got a large estate. It's got all these regulations that are allowed, whether you're on one side of the boundary or the other side of the boundary.
Phil Green, City Administrator. I might add a couple things too. Jeff had mentioned at the very, very beginning that we're trying to remove confusion because you could have a situation in the future, if you didn't do this, where you might annex an RRE property, rural residential estates, that's now inside the city limits, but they would argue, well, I shouldn't even be annexed or qualified to be annexed because my zoning district is rural, and you have to be urban and suburban in nature to be able to be annexed. But that's really not the whole point. You know, there is no magic list. The federal government doesn't dictate this. The state government doesn't dictate this. It's really up to cities and municipalities what names you happen to give these. In fact, Blair's a little unique that we have all the RLs, REs, and things like that, where most cities are R1, R2, R3, R4, and those numbers designate how dense those districts are. We just happen to use letters instead of numbers. But we felt like it would be confusing if we annexed a property and then left it with the title rural. Now, one of the things we could do is we could create a brand-new zoning district called residential estates, leave RRE the way it is, and then when properties get annexed, we would rezone them from RRE to RE. But the requirements are exactly the same. Nothing changes, all the same privileges are there. So you have the potential of people arguing, well, don't rezone me, but it's a semantic issue. If you qualify to be able to be annexed, and ultimately a future council decides, yes, you should be annexed, then by nature, or by definition, you're saying that property is now urban or suburban in nature, even if it's used for agricultural purposes. And so to me, it just kind of helps clear up the language by removing the word rural. But again, our main point has been none of the privileges that they have change at all. The question was asked earlier about a letter and being told ahead of time. We initially went into this thinking that we would rezone properties to the least dense district that we had inside the city limits at the time, which was the RL. We told property owners ahead of time, way before the annexation took place, that this is what we would be recommending if you happen to get annexed. So we let them know ahead of time. We appreciate their feedback. We've changed a lot of things because of their feedback. And so that's a good thing. But we've been very open, very honest with what we've been thinking, but adjusting at the same time. This seemed to be, a good, reasonable adjustment to allow them as many privileges as possible because of the size of their lots, because of where they're located, if they happen to get annexed, sometime in the future.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Rich Zelensky, Zelensky. Rick, you're exactly right. I forgot to mention that insurance on our property is cheaper because we're rural, and I don't know how that translates into the insurance companies, whether or not they catch that or not, or if they look at the zoning or something like that. Mr. Green, I like that, you did mention that that they have the option to leave us alone, and then whenever properties do get annexed, to do the zoning change at that time makes a lot of sense to me, instead of changing our zoning name right now, just leave the word in there. That just makes sense to me. Ultimately, properties are going to get annexed, and at that time, just like that letter that came out in June, was they were going to change the zoning along with the annexation, basically killing, two birds with one stone. I really would like to have us just leave us the way we are right now for insurance reasons and so on. So, thank you.
Mr. Zelinski, One of the things that I remember when we were having the hearings about the rezoning and the bringing the properties into the city were several people mentioning, well, I recently purchased this property. If I would have known, then I might have thought about something. I think an advantage to this RE designation is that in the future, if someone sells their property and someone buys it, it maybe gives them a little bit of heads up. Hey, you're adjacent to the city. You may get annexed to the city. Now, with that being said, as Mr. Green said, we did a lot of work to try to pretty much make that a smooth transition where, as far as I'm concerned, there's very little that changes as far as what you can do with that property. So, if anything, if it helps someone in the future say like, oh, well, if I buy this, then I know that maybe I might get annexed in the future. I think that that's a positive designation.
So you're saying that, you're leaning towards taking the word out then, is what you're saying?
Yes, into using these REs instead of the RRE. Because again, if you take the word the rural out, someone who purchases a property might be more aware then that I'm not buying a rural property. You're still gonna get the benefits of the rural property if you get annexed. But you're at least kind of getting a little bit of a heads up of like, well, I thought I was gonna live out in the country. Well, you're adjacent to the city, so.
Yeah. I tend to disagree with that because people that want acreages want the rural part of it, that they're, chickens, horses, whatever. And I do know that they're, just by taking the word out doesn't change that, but it means a lot more than just taking that word out. And I still do think that, that could be handled at the time that they get annexed, in the same letter. It really, I think we're trying to get the cart in front of the horse here on it. I think it's unnecessary on that. And also for, the insurance reasons on the places, they're cheaper outside the city. And
Actually, regarding the insurance, I've been in the industry for 40 years, property and casualty insurance for multiple companies. I'm retired now, but in any of that time, there's never been a time where that address and the zoning of that property has made any difference in the insurance rate. Because they always look at distance to fire hydrants, distance to fire station. That's their main concern, is if their big concern is a fire. If you have a fire, how long is it gonna take for the fire department? How big is the fire department? Is there fire hydrants for them to hook up to? So zoning has never been a question that I've ever ran across. So I think that was probably some misinformation, but you wouldn't have to worry about your insurance rates, at least from my experience, changing as a result of the zoning.
so you're saying a house that's in the center of Blair, identical house, 10 miles away from Blair, the insurance would be the same?
If they take your house, where you're at right now, and they change the zoning, you have a protection class is what they call it. Your protection class doesn't change. That's all that the insurance companies look at, is they go from a protection class generally of a 1 to a 10. The higher the number, the worse it is, meaning that if you're at 10, you're gonna be more than 5 miles from a fire station. You're gonna be more than 1,000 feet from a fire hydrant. So they're gonna have to bring water out to you. That's gonna make your insurance rates higher. If you are still at that same property and you're within 5 miles, which you would be, and if you got a fire hydrant for them to hook up, your protection class isn't going to change, regardless of the zoning change. So insurance premiums don't change with rural as compared to in the city. Your rate may be higher because you're more than 5 miles outside. It would be higher if you're more than 5 miles outside of the fire station, because it's going to take longer for them to get out to you. But zoning won't change, from my experience, would not change your insurance premiums from.
Okay. Does it change with Washington County as far as the taxes then?
That's something that, as far as I'm aware, Jeff can kind of.
As far as the mill levy?
As far as we know, that does that have any, Bill, you?
I was just gonna say, the zoning doesn't change the mill levy, but obviously being in the city limits does.
Yeah, okay,
In the use.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
So I just had a question. Do we have a visual of how many properties and families are being affected? Because 2 miles is pretty far out, and I feel like a lot of those areas are still agricultural and rural. Again, this makes sense inside the city limits, but how many of these families, like, what does that look like on a map? How many people are being affected by these changes? And if they consider themselves rural and they are, I mean, 2 miles is really far outside of town. If you're driving it, it doesn't look anything like it's like the city of Blair. How big is the city in diameter? Like, how many miles across is it compared to that 2 miles outside? Things look a lot different in the 2 mile bubble than they look inside of town. And if the people are finding themselves as rural, it can be done differently inside the city limits. It could be RE. How many families and properties are RE inside the city limits right now, or is this just affecting people? Are all of the RREs currently outside of the city limits, and how fast is all of that 2 mile bubble going to get annexed? Why is this all happening right now?
So the light blue, the blue line is our 2 mile ETJ boundary. That has not changed in a while. In their areas, it's kind of a light gray. You see areas here along Highway 91, along P29. Down there, you'll see the areas in this place, and of course these areas here. Those are the RREs right now, or the future REs. Again, they are determined to be our residential estate, because when they were subdivided, there were no longer tax lots in the county. They are now subdivisions, and anything under 10 acres does not qualify for agriculture or transitional agriculture. So were they notified? No, they weren't. We were doing a book change that has to do with the city itself. There's no requirement by the state to notify everybody on that. But it was in the paper, and it has been actually part of the news for quite a while. Again, these people there, RE, 3 acres. However, you have access to city water, city sewer, paved roads, you can actually go smaller. But the biggest thing about the RRE, and hopefully RE, is it has to do, once it's out of no longer 10.01 acres or more, it cannot be an ag or transitional ag district.
Thank you. Brenda, do we have any comments in writing?
No.
Thank you. This time I will close the public hearing. How would council like to proceed?
I'll introduce ordinance 2594.
An ordinance to amend the Blair City zoning regulations, Article 7, amending Section 701 rural residential estates district and other rural residential estate references in the zoning book by removing rural from rural residential estates title and descriptions, and modifying Article 7, Section 701 to include inside city limits and in the city extraterritorial jurisdiction, repealing all ordinance parts and words conflict herewith, providing the social book for full force and effect, and published in pamphlet form.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second.
Question.
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye. An ordinance to amend the Blair City zoning regulations, Article 7, amending Section 701 rural residential estates district and other rural residential estate references in the zoning book by removing rural from rural residential estate title and descriptions, and modifying Article 7, Section 701 to include inside city limits and the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, repealing all ordinance parts and words in conflict herewith, providing this ordinance should be in full force and effect and published in pamphlet form.
I move final passage of ordinance 2594.
Second.
Question.
The question now before the council is, shall ordinance number 2594 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
Council members present voting aye. Banner, Clark, Highfield, Letcher, Long, Wolf, and Willis. Council members Paulson voting nay.
Motion passes. I declare ordinance number 2594 duly adopted. Item number 11, consider approval of the job description for the Deputy City Administrator of Operations position.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, council members. Just a little bit of kind of organizational reminder on the agenda here. You've got items number 11 all the way down through 15 that now we're going to start dealing with job descriptions. So sorry to bore you to death, but these are all job descriptions now that are related to positions that were discussed during the budget process. So historically, what Blair has tried to do is move the budget process forward and hopefully be able to get it approved at the very first meeting in September. Then we'll take the second meeting in September to kind of actually implement all of the issues that affect the employees for the upcoming fiscal year. And so you've got these job descriptions before you. The first one on the agenda is for the Deputy City Administrator of Operations. As you recall, it was my request, and I appreciate your support so far, in looking at kind of retooling the top administrative positions here for the city. I acknowledge and fully understand that Blair right now is a town of about 8,000 people, but there's a lot of activity that's going on in this community. We are the top community in the county, and we demonstrate that through the economic leadership that we have, the important role that we play with the production of water. So we provide water for not only ourselves, but for a large industrial complex, for other communities in Washington County. We also treat sewer for other communities in Washington County. So there's a lot of activities that we do that are much larger than really what our size is. My recommendation then was to take the one assistant city administrator position and the director of public works position, who really functions as an assistant or deputy administrator over that particular area, and then add the 1/3 position, which is the one before you tonight. Now, what was in the packet was a kind of the retooled job descriptions for the other two positions as well, simply because we want all three of these to somewhat mirror each other and reflect. But really what this was about reorganizing the top staff and making it manageable. Previously, the assistant position, and I held that for several years, but there wasn't as much activity going on then as there even is now. That it's a real challenge to try to provide good oversight and guidance to that many departments. And so by adding this third position, rebranding the Director of Public Works to a Deputy City Administrator position, you allow then this new position to have what I think is a reasonable span of control. And part of it is then and a significant part is to ultimately free me up. I'm going to lean heavily upon these three individuals. And expect a lot from them when it comes to leading their particular departments. Now, keep in mind, almost all of these departments have their own department head. That's still the person that runs that department. This is about oversight, integration, collaboration between departments, taking initiatives that all of you have coming from the council and from the mayor, and then implementing those kind of across the board, but also then to free me up to really concentrate, I think, on some significant issues for the city of Blair, which ultimately is housing development. We have a huge need for that. Every single community in Nebraska has a huge need for that. You will hear, if you're going to the conference coming up, about the need for attainable housing across the state. But we need to do something to get more of that started here. And I look forward to working more closely even with Mike Rooks on economic development and some of those large key issues for the city of Blair. So not really going to go into the great detail of the job description. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it, but I'll answer any questions that you have. Ben's here too to answer any questions.
No questions for staff? Thank you.
Anything else you want to add, Ben?
Nope.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none? Judiciary Committee.
We met on all of these coming up. I don't know if we need to have all the great description that Mr. Green just gave us in this one for the rest of them.
Yes, sir.
They're pretty cut and dry. I'd like to, if that, any questions of the council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the job descriptions for the deputy city administrator of operations position plus the other that are listed here.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the job description for the Deputy City Administrator of Operations position. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 12, consider approval of the job description for the HR Generalist position.
Where's your hat?
I
left it back there.
It's Ben's birthday today.
It is, thank you. Yep.
So
I
he had
promised my
a
kids I'd wear
fancy
it,
hat
but
before, yes.
It's like, we run a professional tight ship here. I'm not gonna wear it up here, but, Ben Gould, HR Manager for the City of Blair. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, yeah, before you use the HR Generalist job, how we've been describing this position, the HR Generalist, as I'm the HR Manager, not the Generalist, we're kind of extracting a little bit of the higher level HR position that is currently today. The leadership, organizational development, leadership development, all that. And we're gonna kind of put that, as you see in the previous job description, put it in the job description of the operations, deputy city administrator, but all the daily necessary items and, onboarding to recruiting to everything that I do today, we're just kind of retooling that title to be HR Generalist. So, again, it's fluffed with a lot of HR responsibility as, we need it, but that's what it's.
But then is that a common title?
Yes, it is, yes. So the generalist is a very common title or name. You'll either hear HR generalist or HR specialist. So again, a specialist, goes maybe more into compensation or recruiting, things like that. But an HR generalist is exactly what we need, is someone that can have good knowledge, maybe not deep knowledge like a specialist, but good high-level knowledge on multiple areas of an organization. So just if anyone was wondering.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none, Judiciary Committee, you're up again.
Excuse me. The email. You didn't miss it. You didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything.
I'll,
I'll approve,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the job description for the HR generalist position.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, sweet, thanks. Let's go. We have a motion to second to approve the job description for the HR Generalist. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 13, consider approval of the job description for the Community Service Officer position. Chief Kinsey and Mr.
We're
Gould.
gonna do a duo
Little song
here
and dance.
tonight.
I'm here to cut it short.
He's the better looking of the two, so I needed him to come, balance me out. So obviously, before you use community service officer, I just really wanted to touch base on the beginning and kind of how this became, and then I want Chief Kinsey to kind of bring it home with kind of what this position will be doing and what his intention is of this position. Today, we have a part-time animal control officer. Brett Gunderson has been with us more than 10 years, been doing a great job. Chief Kinsey came in with an idea, especially with a lot of surrounding agencies around the state. They have what's called a community service officer. This officer is a lot more engaging in the community, does animal control, but also including that is, some traffic help, things like that. Again, I don't want to steal his light there, but so with this budget, we're proposing a full-time position and taking away the part-time animal control officer, kind of bringing those responsibilities into this full-time position. But yeah, Chief, if you would share a little more.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, Council, Chief Kinsey. One of the things I noticed in coming in, doing the assessment of the department is just finding where we're overutilizing and underutilizing personnel, and animal control officer as a part-time position was just one. And what I really saw was that we needed more operational support for our officers on the street. They get pulled in and out of the office all the time for non-enforcement, administrative type duties like UTV inspections, escorting somebody down to the tow yard to release a vehicle, tying them up, for an hour or two, depending on how long it is of the day. That's keeping officers off the street. My goal is to keep police officers on the street so we can keep the city of Blair safe. So these positions, community service officer positions, wear many hats. they'll still do animal control. There's enough time in the day to do animal control, working with our community development department and taking over some of the proactive and reactive code enforcement that is not necessarily, I don't want to say is not getting done right now, but we could take a more proactive approach at some of the things to have some of our quality of life issues handled by handling code enforcement. And the real important piece is just, it's one more person in our department to get out and engage with the community on behalf of the organization, the city, be out there in the community, and they work special events, come in and help with Gateway Days, all the special events. So that's really where we're at in it, and hopefully we'll be able to free up our officers a little bit more day by day. So, any questions?
Chief Kinsey, how many hours, or maybe Ben can answer this better, how many hours is the part-time animal control officer currently?
About 24.
Yeah.
Okay.
24 per week.
I'm only a little concerned because I read the job description and the breadth of responsibilities for this position, up to and including answering the phones. I guess I'm concerned that the animal control side of it may be diminished in light of some of these other details.
Yeah, when I mentioned underutilized and overutilized personnel, and I think we just weren't getting our bang for the buck with even with a part-time animal control officer. If you're at all concerned for whether or not we'll get the most use out of it, I'm confident we will, and maybe in future budgets, we'll look at adding a second community service officer.
Is this person gonna be armed?
They will not be armed. This is not a sworn position. And they will be uniformed completely different than what our police officer, we don't want to have any misperceptions out there or put the person into a situation. There's still going to be situations where, as animal control officer, code enforcement officer, they're going to have a uniformed police officer there, whether it's to write a criminal citation for something other outside of the code book or anything like that. And we already do that with Brett on a day-to-day basis, backing him up on different things. So we wouldn't put him, we'd keep him out of the harm's way as much as we can. But we'd also be asking him to, help out with traffic. I mean, traffic control is just inherently dangerous in itself, so we'll be getting some added training. We're putting together a field training program for the community service officer, so they'll have to complete this field training, so they'll have some specialized instruction and training.
Does Brett use his own vehicle or use it a city?
No, we have the city
City.
we have the city vehicle. Yeah,
Okay.
we have the animal control vehicle.
Okay,
We'll just
that's the one.
what we'll do is we'll just remark it.
Okay.
It's often a good step too to recruiting your next officer
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, get that extra body out there on the street, engaging and spreading the good word.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah, two things real quick. Could you share the kind of hours you're expecting this? Is it
Yeah,
Monday through Friday?
and so it would typically be a Monday through Friday, but when you're doing code enforcement, and I know this from my past life, and having commanded the Code Enforcement Bureau, we'll be having a little bit of a flexible schedule. They'll probably maybe be one Saturday a month that they'll work, or work later into the evening during a weekday, a couple times a month. That's just so people are working. If they have tall grass, tall weeds issue, or something that needs to be, where they have to have contact and start the abatement process, we'll have some flexible hours, but mostly Monday through Friday.
And just, I wanted to touch on too, our hope is to post internally and externally within the next 2 weeks, to give everyone an opportunity to apply for this position.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none? Council, how would you like to proceed?
Became animal control officer.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the job description for the community service officer position. Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the job description for the CSO. Please vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 14, consider approval of the job description for the technology support specialist position.
Hello, I'm regretting I should have brought my little birthday hat. I'm up here so much. No. So obviously, Tom, come on up. Tom White, again, our IT director. He has been instrumental in the last 7 months, I think, being here. So we are really appreciative of everything that he's been doing. With that, we've recognized, and again, we appreciate you approving those funds for this position, the hundreds, can I say hundreds? I don't know. Sure. Hundreds of programs, logins, all the, equipment that we have to run the city efficiently. Tom can definitely get overrun quickly. So obviously, this position is the technology support specialist. Tom, I don't know if you have anything else you want to share about specifically this position will be doing. It's really to just help him, what I would call the good needed grunt work of an IT department to get under and plug things in, to help with the ticketing system. I think that would be good to mention too, but really to help Tom and what he's doing.
Yeah, so like Ben said, this is it's kind of an entry level, not necessarily help specifically only help desk, but it will be kind of the tier one point of contact for when someone has an issue at the city. So then when I'm out working on other projects or in meetings and things, there's always coverage for the employees and to ensure that the city's technology and systems are running. So any questions on this one? Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none? Council?
Motion to approve the job description for the technology support specialist position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the job description for the technology support specialist. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 15, consider approval of the job description for the Public Works Technician position.
So our Public Works Director, CJ Heaton, will be coming up and joining me again. I have a lot of dynamic duos tonight. So this one has kind of been in the works for quite a while now. We really wanted to look at, or we've been looking at, what do our current, it started at the water plant, what do our current operators do when they're covering a 24-hour plant, providing clean water and good water to our citizens and many of the businesses around. We kind of recognize that having somebody on staff to make sure all the levels of chemicals and everything is correct, and with the rain and the snow melting, all the storms, anything that can happen, we need to make sure that they're ready for doing what they need to do to make those plants operate. But they also have to take care of all the replacing of, belts and valves and pumps and all those kind of maintenance type of work. We realize that, I think we can actually find some type of maintenance technician to help down at the water plant, so that the operators can stay focused on what they're hired to do. They have the higher level certifications from the state to say, hey, you can run this plant and get good clean water out. So CJ will definitely talk a little bit more about that technician if you do have anything, CJ, but it's expanded really from just the water plant to really helping, what's that, the phrase that we came up with?
It's advanced technology.
Yeah, okay. Well, the water plant, the waste plant, even the distribution is the word I was looking for, the distribution around the city. There's lots of pump stations that could have maybe a wrench turned here and there, so Terry and his guys don't have to worry about it. Josh down at the waste plant, they don't have to worry now doing all the little maintenance stuff. So they still have to do all the cleaning and things like that themselves. So having somebody else around to help will hopefully provide more time for the operators to do what they need to do. Sorry, I'm talking about there.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, I think Ben covered everything really. This is really designed to, I guess, act as a support position for the operators so that they can focus on operating and all of that kind of higher level stuff, not to diminish people in this position by any means, but there are times that a pump needs replaced and the operators need to go focus on other aspects of the plant. So this could be a job assigned to them. Or, we've gone through phase 5, which actually got turned on today, so we're moving in the good direction there. But all of the work that goes on down there, sometimes contractors are in replacing big pumps or doing some big jobs. This person can kind of help coordinate that work also, to relieve that kind of stress on the operators. But then, as Ben said, they're also going to help sometimes at the wastewater plant, or if we need them out in the distribution side of things. Winter's coming, these guys, whoever's in this position, can kind of take over all the snow removal down there at the plant, because it's 24-hour facility. There's a lot of, sidewalks connecting different buildings down to the different tanks, so all of that stuff has to get done. So right now, it's just operators doing all of that. This will be able to kind of give them a chance to focus on what they need to do.
CJ, remind me, will there be, how many, is just one position or
I believe we have three.
three? There'll be three
Three.
of this position?
Yep, correct.
Thank you.
And Mayor, I'm glad you brought that up, and I just want to step in here real quick and kind of help you understand, because I think this is going to be significant for all of you as council members. And CJ is exactly right. We're not trying, don't take any of these comments as demeaning individuals or anything like that. But obviously, when we have operators who have to have certifications from the state, we're looking for a certain aptitude of employee who's able to do those things. But a lot of the work that they ended up doing at the plant was more technician, mechanical related, and not necessarily operator related. This is going to be a position that's lower down on the pay scale to save the citizens money. And so that's a key aspect to this. And it's one of the things I suggested to them as the plant was growing, and because we need coverage, we need to make sure that we have enough employees that are at the plant 24/7 to be able to take care of all the different issues that need to be done. But you don't necessarily need the doctor to be doing everything in all of the rooms, because they have a skill set that you really need for them to go do their task, and you can hire others to be able to do a lot of the other tasks, just as important for the organization, all those kinds of things. But I want you to understand, because obviously you ultimately end up representing the citizens, that this is a cost-saving move. And so this will be less expensive for the citizens of Blair, for ultimately all of the public works areas, because we're looking for those people who have that skill set where they'll be helpful at the plants and throughout the distribution system, like we said. So that's a key aspect of it.
Couple questions. Do we need more operators? I'm just curious.
Again, basically with the expansion into Phase 5, we've always been looking at 12 positions. When we got ready to start hiring more operators, that's when we started having some of these serious conversations over the summer about, do we really need to be hiring 12 actual operators when a lot of what they end up doing is not necessarily directly related to those certifications that they have to have in running the plant. So we're still looking at the same number of positions, which will ultimately be 12, but not 12 operators, now 9 operators and 3 technicians.
But eventually we'll need more operators. You're thinking.
With Phase 5, I think we're going to be comfortable with 12.
So the 3 that we're hiring, are they possibly, I know aptitude or whatever, going to be given the opportunity to move in those positions at some point? Or something like that, or just strictly state?
No, whenever we open up positions here at the city, people can apply for that, and that happens quite frequently. And so I'm envisioning someday that, yeah, if we've got good technicians who enjoy doing that work, but now an operator position opens up, they can apply for that. And obviously that will put them, a step ahead of everybody else, not, number one, being on staff, somewhat aware of how the plant operates. So yeah, so it's a great opportunity again to be able to move up if they've got that aptitude.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, I've got a question. I thought this position was gonna be another technician for the wastewater treatment plant. And I'm trying to find the original org chart.
That is a separate position.
And we've already got the job description for that.
So that's separate from this.
Correct.
Yeah, wastewater
Operator.
So we're still gonna hire that position?
Correct.
So we're gonna have 3 there.
Correct.
Yes.
And then this support position
Good
as
flow.
needed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yep.
good question.
And just to kind of piggyback off what Phil had mentioned, one of my biggest concerns when I got in here and started talking about what Jeff had going on is often you end up on a shift overnight, especially where you're running a kind of a skeleton crew of operators and somebody calls in sick. Now you're down to one person at the whole entire water plant overnight. So that was always been a concern for me, is having bodies there, people there. Lord knows you trip over your own 2 feet and you lay there until morning. So I think having people there, operators, technicians, we have the chemist position now. So I think that'll help with filling all the slots, I guess. And then using technology. So we're working with Phase 5. We're going to start putting more probably tablets similar to what I have, so that the guys can basically run the plant from anywhere. So the operators can be in the back and turn off and on pumps without having to go all the way up front to go back in the office and do that stuff. So I think kind of putting it all together, it'll be something new. We'll give it a shot.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none, Judiciary Committee. One more time.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the job description for the public works technician position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the job description for the Public Works Technician position.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. We're about halfway through, and we're going to show a little mercy to our members of the public who are in high school, who I know will go home and study, right? We're going to take a 5-minute break, so come on up. We'll reconvene at 8:15.
5 miles, which make their rates typically.
Didn't mean to cut you off. So, item number 16. Consider Resolution 2025-91, amending the employee handbook, adopting a new parental leave policy as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee. Mr. Gould.
Good evening.
And Ms. Stark.
Yes, this is Erica Stark, and I will let her talk about the next couple items.
I am Erica Stark. I want to start by saying hello. Most of you probably don't know me outside of Councilman Wolf, Clark, and Mayor Rump. I have been employed at the City of Blair for about 3.5 years, and I'm a non-FOP member at the Police Department. Currently, I serve as the chairperson on the City Alliance team. The City Alliance team serves as a spokesperson for city employees to the council, advocates for employee benefits, and plans employee recognition, the pool night, stuff like that. I would like to thank Mayor Rump, Councilman Wolf, and Councilman Clark for attending some of our meetings. It's nice to get that input quickly and helps us make decisions. I would like to introduce the brand-new parental leave policy. This policy will cover any birth parent or spouse of a birth parent who have been employed with the city in a full-time capacity for 12 consecutive months. This policy also covers employees who are adopting a child under the age of 17, with the exception of the adoption of their spouse's existing child. This leave must be taken in continuous 4-week block within 12 months of the qualifying event. This leave will run concurrently with FMLA, and no other benefits such as health insurance or retirement will change during this time. Multiple births or sibling adoptions do not increase the maximum leave of 4 weeks. Holidays or administrative leave or days off during this 4-week period do not extend parental leave. Employees should attempt to give a 30-day notice when possible. Not always possible, but a 30-day notice would be appreciated. After the 4-week period, employees should use sick, vacation, or comp time to extend their leave up to 12 weeks as protected by FMLA. Any remaining FMLA time after the accrued leave is used will be unpaid. Are there any questions?
Erica, now tell me, is this standard in municipalities our size, or is this kind of innovative for Blair?
This is new. This is very progressive policy. It is not standard. I was doing some research on it, and Lincoln has a small policy about the same, reflective of ours. Otherwise, City of Omaha has nothing. No other municipalities that we compare to have a policy either. So it sets us apart.
Pioneers, if you will.
Yes.
Thank you.
On the sick leave payout, what is the maximum sick leave they can accrue? I mean, I know some employers limit to how much you can get. Here comes Ben.
That's the next item, but it's 944 hours.
How many?
944.
944. That's the maximum? Why do we let it go so high?
Why not?
Something that says,
Talk a little bit about your parenthood.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
drives right
And we'll get to that. That's another agenda
That's
item.
the next item.
But I mean, all of these things really affect your comparability.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions about the parental leave policy for Erica? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none, Finance Committee.
Yep, I was part of the CAP team. As you mentioned, it's wonderful to bring all of the departments in and be able to hear their concerns and bring, great brainstorming sessions is what it's been. And this was something, as you mentioned, it is progressive. It's something that we feel was right. We kind of came to an agreement based on the length, and then we wanted to implement a waiting period so we didn't have individuals coming into city employment and taking advantage, so to speak, of this benefit immediately. That's why we put the kind of that 12-month waiting on it. But I think it's a wonderful idea. I think Gary can agree.
Absolutely.
So there's no questions. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-91 as presented.
Second.
Well, she has to introduce it.
Oh.
That's okay.
So I gotta do the I'm sorry, I'd like to make,
And just introduce.
introduce Resolution 2025-91 as presented.
Just
Just
91.
Introduce it.
Resolution
Normally I'm better than this, man.
2025-91
Okay.
was introduced by Councilmember
I'm so excited because it's a good
Amending the
benefit.
employee handbook adopting a new parental leave policy is recommended by the City Alliance team and Finance Committee.
Now I can make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-91 as
Took his
presented.
water away.
And now I can second it.
Yes, you can. We have a motion and a second to approve
I'm sorry,
resolution,
just a second. You said-
Wolf, to approve resolution 2025-91. Please register your vote. Man, we're already punching it. It's only 8:21.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 17, consider resolution 2025-92, amending the employee handbook to include the new longevity pay policy as recommended by the City Alliance team and Finance Committee. Ms. Stark.
Okay, this is also a brand new policy for the city of Blair. This policy gives recognition and reward to employees for their dedication and years of continuous service to our city. When an employee reaches 10 years of service, they'll be given a pay increase of 1% of their base salary. When an employee reaches 15 years of service, they will receive 2% of their base salary. And when an employee reaches 20 years of service and above, they will receive 3% of their base salary. All full-time employees are eligible for this benefit. To qualify, the years of service must be continuous. If there is a break of less than 6 months, you should refer to Section 214 in the Employee Handbook, which states that employees who have a break in service of less than 6 months will be assigned their original hiring date. However, management does have a right to change this if they see fit. Lastly, longevity pay will take effect on the employee's anniversary date when the qualifying years of service has been reached. Any questions?
Ben, do you have anything to?
Yeah, because we touched on, the comparability just a little bit ago. I just wanted to kind of finish that, wrap that up, just because, the CAT committee, we do a comparability study that we pay a company to do that goes out to other cities that are relatively our size, that the state mandates, 4,000, not half our size, but not twice our size. And they gather all of the benefits, all the job descriptions, and then give it to us to say, hey, here's what other cities are doing. And it was a great tool that we use as city, but it was mainly just, the city administrator, maybe the city attorney, myself, that are looking at this to say, what are some of the changes and benefits we want to change? Well, now that we have this CAT committee, this is one of the tools they use as well, as of all the items before you, to say, okay, let's evaluate this, what do we see in the market, but also the local government sectors, and then using the comparability numbers that we've gotten, hence the 928 hours, we increased that to 944. Just for that reason. The longevity showed us that other cities our size, they have their max hours of 944 as well. So just wanted to put that out there for all these upcoming items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none? Finance Committee.
This is part of the CAT meeting. They did a great job, as Ben just stated, of looking at the other communities to try to make sure that Blair is competitive, that we are taking care of our employees as we should, and commend them for that. So if there's no other questions, I would like to introduce Resolution 2025-92.
Resolution number 2025-92 was introduced by Councilmember Clark, amending the employee handbook to include the new longevity pay policy as recommended by the City Alliance team and Finance Committee.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-92 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2025-92. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 18, consider resolution 2025-93, amending the employee handbook to include the new on-call policy, raising on-call rate from $150 per week to $175 per week, as recommended by the City Alliance team and Finance Committee. Ms. Stark.
Okay, this covers changes to the on-call policy. These changes cover streets, utilities, wastewater, and the Parks Department. All of these departments are required to have someone on call from 7 a.m. on Monday to 6:59 a.m. the following Monday. The compensation for this is increasing from $150 to $175. While on call, employees should remain fit for duty and should be compliant with the city's drug-free workplace and substance abuse policy. They should be reachable and able to respond within 45 minutes of notification, and they should keep all communication devices charged, accessible, and response ready. Any questions?
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none.
This finance committee didn't meet on this one too, or the CAT committee, we should say.
Yeah.
I met with the CAT committee, and again, this is a weekend where you can't enjoy yourself, you can't do anything, you're on call. So with that, they need a bump in pay. So I will introduce resolution 2025-93.
Resolution number 2025-93 was introduced by Councilmember Wolf, amending the employee handbook to include the new on-call policy, raising on-call rate from $150 per week to $175 per week, as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-93 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-93. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 19, consider resolution 2025-94, amending the employee handbook, raising the minimum hours paid for call-out from 1 hour to 2 hours, as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee. Ms. Stark.
This resolution considers amending the minimum paid hours for an on-call call-out from 1 hour to 2 hours. Employees who are called out of their normal working hours for city-related duties shall be compensated with a minimum of 2 hours of pay per call-out incident. Compensation beyond the minimum shall be based on actual work time calculated in 15-minute increments. Any questions?
Any comments from the public? All right, Finance Committee.
Okay.
Meet on this one again.
Yep.
If I'm working at night and I get called in for an hour, I'm not gonna be very happy. So, again, we're trying to take care of our employees. So with that, I'll introduce resolution 2025-94.
Resolution number 2025-94 was introduced by Councilmember Wolf, amending the employee handbook, raising the minimum hours paid for call-out from 1 hour to 2 hours, as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee.
Adopt resolution 2025-94 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-94. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 20, we're just moving on and getting this handbook all up to date. Woo! Consider resolution 2025-95, amending the employee handbook, updating the sick leave accrual rate from 3.75 hours to 4 hours, as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee. Ms. Stark.
This resolution considers changes to the sick leave accrual. Currently, regular full-time and part-time employees who work more than 20 hours a week earn sick time. Full-time employees currently earn 3.75 hours per pay period. The CAT committee recommends increasing this to 4 hours per pay period. This will be prorated for part-time employees according to their time worked. Sick leave may not be accumulated beyond 944 hours for full-time employees who work 40 hours a week, and again, a proportionate lesser amount for eligible part-time employees. Any questions?
Thank you. Comments from the public? Are you sure? Anyone? Okay. Finance Committee.
Yep, again, we did meet on this, so I'm just gonna introduce resolution 2025-95.
Resolution number 2025-95 was introduced by Councilmember Wolf, amending the employee handbook, updating the sick leave accrual rate from 3.75 hours to 4 hours, as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee.
Motion to adopt resolution 2025-95 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve resolution number 2025-95. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Two more, Erica?
Two more.
Okay.
This one has a lot of
Item number
numbers.
21, consider resolution 2025-96, amending the employee handbook, approving a new sick leave policy, sick leave payout chart for employees who leave or retire from the city of Blair, as recommended by the City Alliance team and Finance Committee.
Okay, this addresses changes to sick leave payout chart. Upon death or retirement, an employee is entitled to 55% of whatever sick time they have accumulated. If an employee is resigning in good standing and have been employed for 7 or more consecutive years, the payout chart is as follows: 7 to 9 years at 5%, 10 to 11 years at 10%, 13 to 14 years at 20%, 15 to 16 years at 30%, 17 to 19 years at 40%, 20 to 24 years at 50%, and 25 years and above at 60%. If an employee is terminated or leaves because they were asked to resign, no employee shall be paid out their sick leave. Any questions?
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none, somebody other than the Finance Committee could comment if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll jump on that. Thank you for that. I'll make a motion, or I'd like to introduce resolution number 2025-96.
Resolution number 2025-96 was introduced by Councilmember Willis, amending the employee handbook, approving a new sick leave policy, leave payout chart for employees who leave or retire from the city of Blair, as recommended by the City Alliance team and Finance Committee.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-96 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-96. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 22, consider resolution 2025-97, amending the employee handbook, approving the new extended bereavement leave policy to allow employees to use up to 80 hours of sick leave for extended bereavement due to the loss of an immediate family member, as recommended by the CAT team and the Finance Committee.
Okay, last time you'll hear from me tonight. Lastly, this addresses changes to the bereavement leave policy. In the event of the death of an immediate family member, employees may use accrued sick leave up to 80 hours per year, in addition to the bereavement leave provided in section 6.05, titled bereavement. An immediate family member is defined as husband, wife, son, daughter, mother, father, sister, brother, parent-in-law, grandchild, or other legal dependent. Any questions?
Except for Ben's brother, does not count.
Any other questions for Ms. Stark? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments? Any comments from the public? Oh,
Sorry, I just had one comment. There was some confusion up front about our bereavement leave. We have 24 hours that you can use for any death. Doesn't have to be just an immediate family member. We're not adding 80 hours to that 24 hours, right? Just want to make that clear. Clarifying, fact that employees can pull from their sick leave accrued bank in addition to the 24, but it's their accrued sick leave. We're not just adding another 80 hours on top of that 24.
Ben, I know this committee's fairly new.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably going through the handbook like this for obvious reasons. How often are you gonna be doing this, or is this an ongoing process, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about starting off with just any new additions we want to make or any new changes. My hope and goal is that on a quarterly basis, I grab a couple policies from the handbook that really are pertinent to our employees and what they do, and say, hey, can we just review these real quick? Can you guys do some research and say, what do you guys see? Here's what I've kind of been seeing in the HR world, and see if there's any changes that we may need to make. I think a lot of our policies currently are kind of boilerplate that a lot of handbooks have, but some of the ones that are a little bit more specific to us or local government, from comparability, things like that, that's my hope, is that this CAT committee can really be involved and be the voice, as Eric was saying, to help, shape that handbook. Yeah.
Any comments from the public? Having none? Finance Committee.
Yeah, and I'll just say that the CAT team and the meetings that we have had have been very, very productive and eye-opening. It's nice to see the involvement with the employees and management, and just how hard they're working to try to better the, employee-employer relationship, and then also to try to keep us competitive so that we can bring in new hires, keep the hires that we have, and keep, everybody, happy. So with that, I'd like to introduce Resolution 2025-97.
Resolution number 2025-97 was introduced by Councilmember Clark, amending the employee handbook, approving the new extended bereavement leave policy to allow employees to use up to 80 hours of sick leave for extended bereavement due to the loss of an immediate family member as recommended by the City Alliance Team and Finance Committee.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-97 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-97. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Erica. Nice job tonight, and thank you for your willingness to serve. Is it chair or president of CAT?
Chair.
Chairperson is CAT. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, nice job. Item number 23. Oh, you've been so quiet, Mr. Green. We're going to consider ordinance 2595, setting and fixing compensation for the officers and employees of the City of Blair for the fiscal year 2025 and 2026.
Thank you, Mayor. Erica, before you walk out, thank you. Great job. So, appreciate it. She does do a great job. And I want to just take a second and say thank you to you as the council and mayor for being so supportive of our employees. We really do appreciate it. We know that you care a lot about them. They have demonstrated, I think, by trusting them with the comparability study to do the hard work, to come back with good answers when they do meet with council members, to have justifications for the things that they're asking for. But I want you to know how much we really appreciate the good support, and it'll keep really good employees and hopefully helps us to recruit good employees in going forward as well. I especially just want to highlight that last one that you approved on the extended bereavement leave, because just stop and think about the fact that if you had an immediate family member, or say a parent, and those of you who have gone through that, and especially if it's the last of your parents that were alive, there's a lot of activities that have to go on. Oftentimes there's properties that have to be, taken care of, some things like that. And to realize that with the death of an immediate family member, you've got 3 days of bereavement, and then you can take vacation. Well, that's a horrible way to spend vacation time when maybe you've got 800 hours of sick leave that's stored up. So why not allow them to be able to use some of that paid leave? It reduces that ultimate payout amount anyway, and it's something that they've been able to accumulate because they've been a good employee and been with us for a long time. So those kinds of things, I think, make a lot of rational sense, and the employees really appreciate it. So what you have before you right now is the pay chart for this upcoming fiscal year. Those of you who've been on the council for a while know that this is a biannual thing that we normally do, and normally there are 2 pages of pay scales that are listed here. But part of the negotiation that we went through was that because the police officers had already had their city match increase on retirement increased from 7 to 9%, we wanted to incrementally begin to move in that direction with our regular employees. But obviously, we don't have unlimited resources, and so part of our concern was, well, how many employees are going to take advantage of that? What kind of a draw is that going to have? So we kind of worked out and negotiated a formula that, depending upon how many of our employees take advantage of moving now from 7 to 8% match this upcoming year, will then depend upon whether the following year is a 2.5% or a 2% increase, plus that additional 1% increase that's going to bring them up to 9% in their retirement as well. So a year from now, you can anticipate having the second chart that we'll give you, because we'll know at that time then how many of our employees have taken advantage of that additional 1% match. And I hope it's the majority. I hope that our employees understand that with a small little sacrifice, they get 2 for 1. By giving up 1, then they'll get a second match from the city, and so that's a good thing. This chart, again, just as a reminder, during the budget period, you would have gotten all the details of specific individuals. They all live someplace on this chart, But this chart really is not about individuals, it's about positions and where the positions exist. And generally, when we hire a brand-new person in one of those positions, it's on the lower end of the scale, A, B, sometimes a C, depending on what kind of experience they may have. And then those employees move up annually through those various different steps until they max out after 6 years with the city of Blair at H, and then it's just those annual cost of living adjustments that they have to look forward to, unless they're bettering themselves and preparing for some other positions, and then obviously we encourage them to consider to apply for those other positions when they open up. So, any questions that you have regarding that pay scale? Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Or non-public? Finance Committee. Again, sorry. Or someone else.
Gary?
Yep.
I think that when we reviewed this, it seemed like it was an inline increase, 3%. Doesn't seem extravagant. I think it's a well use of the taxpayers' monies, and again, it's supporting the people that are supporting the city, so I think it's a wise move.
Would you like to introduce an ordinance?
And with that being said, okay, here we go. I'd like to introduce ordinance number 2595, setting and fixing the compensation for the officers and employees of the city of Blair for fiscal year 2025 to 2026.
An ordinance setting and fixing the compensation for the employees of the city of Blair, Nebraska, not represented by the FOP Lodge 83 for fiscal years 2025, 2026, and 2026 to 2027. Repealing all ordinance parts or conflict herewith, and providing this ordinance shall be full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second.
Question.
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye. An ordinance setting and fixing the compensation for employees of the city of Blair, Nebraska, not represented by the FOP Lodge 83 for the fiscal years 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027. Repealing all ordinances to parts of ordinance conflict herewith, and providing this ordinance shall be full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
I move final passage of ordinance 2595.
Second.
Question.
The question now before the council is, shall ordinance number 2595 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
I declare ordinance number 2595 duly adopted. Item number 24, consider resolution 2025-98, approving an agreement between the city of Blair and the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 83, dated October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027. Ms. Ferrari.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Last year, if you recall, we did meet on this issue we only negotiated a 1-year contract. We're back before you again this year, thankfully, with a 2-year contract. So we will be on the same rotation as our City Alliance team. Hopefully, we will stick with it because it makes continuing with benefits much easier. A few changes did occur in our contract. Certified instructors will now receive $1.50 for time that they're training rather than 80 cents. That is only for time that they're training. It equates to probably about 16 hours a year that they're going to be training on their specific instructor time. Field training officers, these are the individuals who are training our officers to be Blair police officers, so much more extensive, but again, receiving $1.50 an hour bump in their pay for the time that they're acting as a field training officer. Night shift differential went up to $1 from 50 cents, but the time that night shift differential is in place stayed the same from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Uniform allowance stayed the same for our existing officers, but we are opting to now cover everything for a new officer. You're looking at potentially a $5,000 cost. However, it's very important to our department that they're outfitted correctly. And we do have parameters in place that will help protect us on the back end in case they leave prior to 3 years. Health insurance is now in line with the entire city. They will have the 83-17 split for employee spouse, employee family. And then the final item is just their wage increase. For year one, they have a 4% increase, and year two is a 3% increase. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none, how would council like to proceed?
I'll introduce resolution 2025-98.
Resolution number 2025-98 was introduced by Councilmember Wolf, approving an agreement between the City of Blair and the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 83, and dated October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027.
Motion to adopt resolution 2025-98 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-98. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 25, consider resolution 2025-99, approving an amendment to the master service agreement with Olson Associates. Mr. Heaton.
Thank you, Mayor. So before you is an amendment to an agreement we already have with Olson Engineering. I don't know if the council remembers, close to a year ago, we signed an agreement with Olson to kind of help do these one-off projects, I'll call them. The first one we had them work on, what they've been working on most of this last year, is how we could best provide sanitary sewer services to the annexation along Highway 75, and then once we did the annexation along the Hollow Road bypass, that got included into that scope as well. So they've been working on that. They've been working on several other little kind of odds and end projects as part of that overall agreement. We haven't quite used all of those funds, so there's some extra funds in those things that we've been working on that are starting to wrap up. And then we also had a new annexation about a month ago. And one of the requirements when we annex, we have to at least have a plan in place of how we're going to provide utilities, sanitary sewer, water, things like that. So in this agreement, or in this amendment, it kind of reallocates some of those funds within that overall umbrella of, I think, not to exceed $100,000 contract. And if you remember, when we first approved this, the council asked that anytime we approve one individual amount over 10,000, that we come back and ask for permission. So it's kind of what we're doing tonight, but we're more, I guess, would say, changing kind of how we allocate these funds. And so I think broken out in that agreement shows kind of how those new funds will get used. So project management will get a little more coverage. That's just, again, to kind of help with more annexation work. There's already progress being done along Highway 75. So those folks are going to need service within the next year. So we're working quickly on that. We're also going to look at likely having to bore a sanitary line under Highway 75 to get to get south of Hollow Road. So they're helping kind of get those preliminary things in the works. The one big thing that we're kind of switching funds for is for the outfall structure. That was a project that was started several years ago. When the project got completed, we pulled the cofferdams out, realized pretty quickly that we didn't get the outcome we wanted out of that. Talking with the engineer at the time, and it was Olson that did that project, they were given poor information, I guess, to get started is the best way to put it. So they didn't have all of the survey shots were not allowed at the time. It was before my time here. And so all of their math and their starting points were off a little bit. And so it resulted in that our outfall pipe is approximately 9 feet short of where we had intended it to be, or where we'd like it to be. So that is the outfall pipe. If you're not aware, all of the line discharge, all the backwash, everything from the water plant, wastewater plant that goes back to the river, we'd like it to get out into the current so that the current pulls it away. Right now, it's dumping basically at the foot of the boat ramp. And so if anybody boats, there's a foot or two of, lime discharge. It's not sewage, but it's not pleasant either. So we've been working with Olson to kind of come up with some options, and they've presented so far to Phil and I think 5 different conceptual plans. What we're looking at doing is probably working with the railroad to see if we can extend that line and get it as close to under the railroad trestle as we can, so it's away from the boat ramp, and it also gets out into that current, so when it hits the water, it gets pulled downstream. It doesn't sit there and kind of settle out right there. So that's the kind of the big thing. But again, we're not going to go above that $100,000 limit that the council set. We're just kind of reallocating kind of how we want them to focus those funds. Any questions or anything?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any comments from the public? Having none, Water and Sewer Committee.
We did meet on this, and this is like I think you described as an on-call agreement, to do some of these projects, and it's definitely needed. If council doesn't have any questions, I will introduce resolution number 2025-99.
Resolution number 2025-99 was introduced by Councilmember Willis, approving an amendment to the master service agreement with Wilson Associates.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-99 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-99. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 26, consider resolution 2025-100, approving an increase in city sewer rates. Brenda, how often do we get it that high in resolutions?
Well, since Phil started,
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, I was going to say, we usually don't read into the hundreds, and we're only in September, so, okay.
CJ, can I ask a question before we get started?
Yeah.
And you just brought it up again, and I've heard it so many times as a council, that we're still fixing problems from past people. When are we gonna be to the point where we don't have problems that we're still fixing from past people?
Good question. Unfortunately, those things seem to creep up. I know all those previous projects that were started before I got here are wrapping up. So phase 5 is all but done. The line
Is it operating
solids.
properly?
There's a few bugs we're working out, but nothing that's going to require any kind of re-engineering or anything like that. It's like with anything, you plan, and I know Phil and I talked about this, the sins of our fathers and things you make assumptions, I guess, when you're going through some of these early design phases, like with Generations Park, locks on the doors. It's something you just, you kind of assume that people are gonna put locks on doors, and then you go to lock the building up after it's open, and you say, you didn't put a lock on this?
A manual lock.
A manual lock. So there's always little things that we've been kind of tweaking and trying to catch as we go through this.
Door lock's a little bit different than running a pipe from the boat ramp to underneath the
Exactly.
bridge.
You wanna talk about the location of the manhole and the problem?
Yeah, so the issue was that when Olson took this on, they were told, we're not gonna spend the money to pay for a new updated survey. You can use the as-bills from when the last outfall work was done, probably after 2011, 2012, whenever the levee was built. So they were given construction documents that were 10 years old or better, and that was thought to be accurate information. In reality, the as-bills were 2 feet off from where the actual manhole was. So Olson's assignment that they were given was to not move the manhole where the outfall kind of connects to the pipe coming from the plants. And I can't remember the exact length of the pipe outfall section, let's say it's 100 feet. Well, the manhole now was 2-3 feet closer or further away from the river, and it was another 1.5 feet or so taller. So by the time you put everything back in with a 100-foot section of pipe, and you've kind of changed your starting point, it changes the end point. So all of that kind of led to this pipe, what we figure is about 9 feet off of where we had hoped to hit. So that's kind of the situation we got into with that project.
I guess that's not the real, thank you. But the real question is, how many more of these are gonna have?
Yeah, I wish I had a magic 8 ball to tell you. I think we're close enough on a lot of these projects that we're close enough to done that I think we should be free of any of those problems. And I know since I've come in, Phil's been here, as we've been getting close to some of these projects, we've been trying to get, like Jeff down at the water plant. Take some time and walk through with these engineers. Where do you want light switches, ventilation, things like that? And so we tried to make some amendments, catch those before we get too far into it, or send the contractor away and then realize we needed door locks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to Resolution 100.
It's my lucky, do I get a prize or anything?
Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, this resolution will increase our sewer rates by 10% this year. And I think it's just for this year, right, Phil? Yeah, sorry. It's just for this year, correct? It's not
Yes.
to do the next 3, I guess. But if you remember when we were doing the budget, going through all the budget needs at the wastewater plant, we talked about some of the maintenance, deferred maintenance issues that we've had down there. Phil and I just kind of put this number together based on the expenses that we think we're gonna have in this next year. We may end up having to borrow a small amount of money to take care of some of these maintenance issues. And then also to kind of help fund to do a rate study this year, which I've been already meeting with a few firms on that, or possibly software packages that we could plug in all of our inputs, costs, everything, and then it'll help model different rates for us to consider.
And
But
CJ, that rate study then could ultimately change what we do in years 2 and 3, so.
Correct. Yeah, so for this year, what's presented here tonight would be 10% increase of our current rates. My math that comes out to, I'm guessing $1.50 to $3 for most homeowners. Nobody likes to pay more, but it's pretty minimal overall. I think it's been since 2016 since these rates were changed. And similar to the water rates, which we set about a year ago, that'll go into effect with was it a 2% change or 1.5% change every year for the next 10 years. If we could look at doing something similar with the sewer rates, then we don't end up in a spot where now all of a sudden we're really in a hole and we have to take a big swing at it. Yeah, any questions?
Thank you, CJ. Any comments from the public? Having none, Water and Sewer Committee.
We met and discussed and talked about the 10% and what that ended up working out to approximately, like $80 to $3 per resident. And we feel that it's probably just the result of kicking the can down the road, so it's kind of time to raise the rates. We're still well below other comparative cities around us, and we've got lots of things that need to be fixed and updated at the sewer plant. So with that, I would like to introduce Resolution 2025-100.
Resolution number 2025-100 was introduced by Councilmember Paulson, approving an increase in city sewer rates.
I would like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-100 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution number 2025-100. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 27, consider Resolution 2025-101, approving a software subscription for digital management called Power DMS. Chief Kinsey.
Mayor, Council, Jeremy Kinsey, Chief of Police. A little better description of Power DMS is a policy management software. It's a cloud-based, secure software platform that allows us to manage our policies. So I did some rough math. When I was sitting back there looking at my phone and counting up all our policies, and police departments, well, government in itself, we love our policies. And police department has about 200 active department standard operating policies and procedures that we operate with. And when they're updated, when they're reissued, when a new officer comes to the police department, or we have to update a series of policies, what we've been doing is passing around a thumb drive, which have the policies on them, and people get to acknowledge the policies and hope that they read them. Power DMS is a like I said, it's a cloud-based software, web apps, mobile apps that allow us to manage our policies. One of the pieces, and there, you've heard conversations about CALIA accreditation, and how we dipped our toe in the water there for a little bit, kind of on a holding pattern with going that way. But if and when we do decide to go down that route, it's a requirement for CALIA that we use Power DMS. Power Policy is one of the suites. So there's a number of different suites within the Power DMS mothership, I guess, that there's all kinds of different modules that they have. But Power DMS, the Power Policy is what we will be subscribing to. It'll be a great way to manage, reduce admin time once we get everything loaded. There's accountability piece in it where officers and staff can get a policy issued. They have to read it read the policy. They acknowledge and sign for the policy. So it also reduces liability for the city in ways like that. One of the other additional components that we'll be adding along with the Power Policy is Time, which is essentially a scheduling software that goes along with it, because right now we're scheduling 24/7 operations on a Excel spreadsheet, and it's clunky. It's working for what we're doing right now, but we really need to get to the next step and moving forward. So if you have any specific questions about, I can't get too technical about it, but I'm happy to do my best.
Phil's going to address this.
Well, just one issue I wanted to address too. You'll notice that in Spark, there are 3 different quotes that are there. One for 24 count, one for 75, I think it was, and then one for the 99. And that was all because once we started learning more, our staff learning more about what this program could do, we started thinking, wow, there's a lot of other uses that we could have for this. If we're going to buy the platform for the city, adding incremental seats is the cheapest way to kind of get a program that can help us. And so our recommendation in the resolution before you tonight is for the 99 licenses, which would be then available for all of our full-time, part-time, and support staff during the summer, so we can work with them on our policies as well as what the police department's doing. We're also going to be able to use it for some other tracking, training, and other things like that. In fact, we might even loop all of you in there when it comes to some of this NIMS emergency management training, so that it's all scheduled to kind of track through that module.
Any other questions for Chief?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Any comments from the public? Technology Committee.
You want me to? Okay. We did meet on this, and Power DMS is a great program, and a lot of agencies are going to that. So if the council doesn't have any questions at all, I will introduce resolution number 2025-101.
Resolution number 2025-401 was introduced by Councilmember Willis, approving a software subscription for digital management called Power DMS.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-101 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-101. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 28, consider resolution 2025-102, approving a lease with Great Plains for dedicated dark fiber to operate the utility monitoring system and controls. Mr. White.
Thank you. I'm going to let CJ quickly talk about the grant portion of this. That would pay for part of the construction.
Let me talk about the not spending money part.
We applaud you for that.
That's a first.
It
Put
is.
that on my tally. I know you're keeping track.
I
so-
am, so thank you.
So yeah, the city received a $10,000, it's called a Public Water Security Grant. That was through the Nebraska Department of Water, Energy, and Environment. They keep changing their name every couple of years, so Flavor of the Month Department. This grant does require a 10% match. And what I originally went after this grant for was, as the title says, it's for public water security. So my idea was to get more cameras at our various pump stations, the water plant, things like that, so that we could monitor those sites. And talking, when Tom came on, we got to talking about how we best could do that. In conjunction with that, we're also to the point with our SCADA system, which is, Tom will kind of get into the technology of that, which is basically communicates through radio signals from the various places around town back to the water plant. So then we kind of got on this idea of connecting all of these sites with internet, or where the dark fiber term comes in. Again, I'll let Tom go into that. But essentially, all of our remote sites will be connected through fiber back to City Hall and then on down to the water plant. So our operators will be able to run the entire system through basically our own private internet network. And then having that at each of those locations, we'll be able to tie in security cameras, electronic key cards if we wanted to go that route down the road. A lot of these sites are in parks, so if we wanted to do some kind of public Wi-Fi at the parks, we could tap in, we'd have a channel to do that. But as far as the grant's concerned, they'll cover up to $10,000 of that. So that's kind of what's in the agreement from Great Plains. At least the upfront construction part is $10,000, and then Tom will have a couple grand in the equipment to put in. Overall, over the whole project, so then we'll be able to meet our match and then some. And then there's also a monthly charge for the internet service, which I'll let Tom go over. Any questions for me?
Thank you, CJ.
Yeah, so like CJ had mentioned, the kind of primary driver for this is our SCADA control and monitoring of all of our pump stations. Currently, we utilize a wireless point-to-multipoint link on the various structures and infrastructure. It does work, but it is getting to the point where we need to replace it. There's certain drawbacks that happen with wireless, lightning, weather-related incidents. And one of the things that kind of really spurred me to think about going to a dark fiber solution was that this spectrum that our wireless radios operate on will continue to get more crowded as things like smart meters that OPPD is going to start deploying over the next couple of years. So I would hate to see what we're using on a very critical piece of infrastructure be affected by interference from other operators in the spectrum that it is public, so anyone can operate on it. And so now is the time to look at, when we're replacing some of this stuff, if it's time to look at a new technology. We also have a lot of new water infrastructure going into place, so it is a good time to reevaluate how our network operates. A couple goals that I had with it was, again, improved reliability, enhanced security, and that's kind of the big piece. None of this information on our SCADA and our control traffic will be riding on the internet. We will own the equipment on both sides of that fiber and can control the traffic that's on it. And with fiber, it is truly at some point infinitely scalable as far as what we can do with it. So we can utilize this single fiber to do a lot of different projects. And most importantly is the SCADA. So this upgrade would be a dark fiber. Essentially, it is a fiber that we are leasing from Great Plains. We would control the equipment on the ends. The primary traffic would be SCADA, and we would utilize the grant money to pay for a portion of the construction. This is kind of a map of the main ones are the Black Elk and the South pump stations. Those were kind of our big ones that we wanted to get in place, and they would all go back to City Hall and eventually to the water treatment plant. City Hall would be in there, so in case we ever needed to monitor or look at any of the water treatment plant data from here, we could. And then the library is also included on this as well, because that would act as kind of a redundancy point and also a place where I can keep an eye on the traffic from a security perspective. And then as we continue to go into another phase and add more equipment like the Highway 75 pump station, or if things happen down by streets, we can also incorporate them. But the initial plan are these locations all coming back to City Hall. This is the quote from Great Plains. These are the locations. The one that's not on there is City Hall. That's considered the endpoint for all of these. So there's the monthly fee of $295, and then that $10,000 piece because they have to essentially go from 16th Street all the way up to that tank. So there's quite a bit of construction. It's a 10-year lease. It's very competitive and very aggressive on Great Plains' part. They gave us a very nice price for it, and they're becoming a really good partner for some of these upgrades that we need. Let's see.
Is there a reason we wouldn't go to the police station at the same time?
So we currently have fiber to the police station, so they'll be incorporated into the same network. We just already own that. And some of the other things, like on this map, like when we are doing the 75 pump station, if we're putting a water line like to a PRV further down, or we're doing construction, that's when we want to start to partner with Great Plains and say, hey, we have this trench open, let's also put in a fiber at the same time. So this kind of starts to open up that relationship, and as we continue to add projects, we'll think about that. And we've already started with the 75 pump station engineers. We already started looking, okay, let's make sure we are accommodating a duct for the infrastructure to come in, and so we're just kind of this will kick it off, and then we'll continue those conversations. So any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none, Water and Sewer Committee.
Yeah, we did meet on this. I don't think I can explain it better than those gentlemen could. So, obviously, we're kind of doing an upgrade. We're getting most of it, if not almost all of it, paid for by a grant. There'll be some recurring costs, but if there's no questions, I'll introduce Resolution 2025-102.
Resolution number 2025-102 was introduced by Councilmember Lesher, approving a lease with Great Plains for dedicated dark fiber to operate the utility monitoring system and controls.
Motion to adopt Resolution number 2025-102 is presented. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution number 2025-102. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 29. Consider Resolution 2025-103, approving bids for renovations and improvements to the City Hall Annex located at 1516 Grant Street. Mr. Barrow.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Kind of a fun project going on here. The renovations over at the City Hall Annex at 1516 Grant Street. I know you all have walked through the house and have seen what we need to do over there. The resolution tonight is asking your approval on 7 bids on 7 different projects in there with different contractors. We have plumbing, asbestos removal, carpet installation, electrical work, some interior painting. There's carpentry and ADA improvements, and also some network cabling. That's for the equipment only. In-house staff will do that work. I do have the bid tab here available. You can see we received 2 bids for the plumbing. Low bid on that was from O2 Plumbing at $7,450. We received only 1 bid for the asbestos removal. There's about 300 square feet of asbestos tile under the carpet in the older part of the home that needs to be removed. That bid came in at $975. We had 2 bids on carpet, which the plan is to put in the carpet tiles, kind of like what we have in the front office. But the asbestos tile and all that kind of stuff has to be taken out first. Low bid on that was from Kelly's for $59.18. The electrical work, we had 2 bids on that, one from Fremont, one from Wolf. Fremont came in at $14,030. And 2 bids on painting, one from Pearson's, the second from BK Painting. BK has done some work here in City Hall for us previously. His bid was $51.25. We had 2 bids on carpentry and the ADA improvements. Now, the front of the office there, you see the stoop up there, and the steps. It's all concrete, and it's a little bit busted up. We need to put in a ADA ramp and widen the front access to accommodate that, just because of the change of use. It's going from a residential structure to a commercial structure. Now you see the difference here with Longview renovation and DPS. Longview was a little bit more. However, DPS did not bid any of the interior improvements that we need. There's going to be some interior carpentry work that has to be done to make it an office space, and none of that was bid by them. So our recommendation is to go forward with the bid from Longview Renovation for $28,639. And then again, with the network cabling, working with Tom, he has a list of items here that is going to make that house more IT friendly, actually IT functional. I don't think there's any drops in there at all, are there, Tom? So he's estimating the cost of that at $3,419. So total cost of all the renovations on that project were $65,556.
I have a question. I believe we have to place the bids on file. So I'm going to make a motion right now to place the bids on file for renovations and improvements to the City Hall Annex located at 1516 Grant Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place the bids on file for the City Hall Annex.
You have to go to the board.
Yes.
So I didn't put a
I do
motion
that.
in. So everybody's ready, need to vote to the board. What did you say?
I'm going to vote nay.
Okay, ready.
And
Kirk.
enough work?
Kirk, have you voted? I don't show yours.
Who's?
There we go. Kirk, got it.
It's
Right.
got-
It didn't come up. Oh, there we go.
Can't,
Oh,
On your right.
it's on your right. Sorry, we're doing the board.
Hold on a second.
Wasn't voting aye.
That's old school.
All right, now that the bids are on file, do we have any more questions for Mr.
do
Barrett?
you have any questions of me?
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none? Finance Committee.
We discussed it, and as it was pointed out, the one bid being a little higher than the other on the carpentry, if you look at that in detail, you see a lot of that interior work adds like $5,000–6,000 of the expense, so it made sense, obviously, to go that route instead of the one that was just exterior. So there's no questions. We feel that it's obviously the next step forward. I would like to introduce Resolution 2025-103.
Resolution number 2025-103 was introduced by Councilmember Clark, approving bids for renovations and improvements to the City Hall Annex located at 1516 Grant Street.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-103 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-103. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 30, consider resolution 2025-104, approving the contract for legal services with Stagg Liuzza LLC and Matson Ricketts Law Firm, Aqueous Film Forming Foams, AFFF, PFAS litigation. Ms. Ferrari.
Good evening again. For a very long time, the city of Blair has been receiving these postcards that talk about a class action lawsuit that deals with PFAS, which are considered forever chemicals, that could be potentially in our water system. Not because our water system is doing anything wrong, but because where we're getting our water from is contaminated. And so, over time, a class action was brought against 3M and DuPont to have them assist with paying for renovations to water treatment facilities and then also provide compensation to water treatment facilities to help deal with any offset that would come from these chemicals being in the water. It is not just limited to our water treatment facility. It could also be our wastewater plant. It could also be with our fire department because unfortunately those aqueous film forming foams are used by our fire department at times to deal with fires in our community. So we could potentially be looking at another one of these down the road with our fire department. Stagg Liuzza LLC and Matson Ricketts are a firm that are handling the class action suit across the country. And they have contacted us to assist us with entering into the class action and pursuing compensation and then also additional funds to help deal with anything on our water treatment plant side that would need to be done for renovations. The agreement before you tonight is to enter in with their law firm. They would not charge us anything unless we are successful in winning. If we do receive compensation, they will take 33% off the top. And that will cover the testing that is done on our water treatment facility, and that will cover their legal fees, and then we will take the remainder as compensation for ourselves within the city. If you want to go and look and see what other potential payouts could be, there are websites out there if you search for them. They do have quite a long list of different cities that have taken part in this class action. We are technically in phase 2, so we do not need to put anything in until January 1st, but they will assist us with doing all the testing, getting everything on file, handling the court case, which is not in Nebraska. It is located in North Carolina, I believe. Any questions?
Has any testing been done on our water at all to see if they contain
PFAS?
alphabet?
I'll have CJ talk about that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I believe it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the state required everybody, or the EPA required everybody to test. And they do it in parts per trillion, if I remember right. And all they gave back to us is that we were greater than 2 parts per trillion. So what this law firm will help us do is kind of narrow that down a little bit more, because my understanding, Katie, is the more you have in the water, the more money you get. And as Katie said, this is nothing that our guys at the water plant did wrong. There's no, I guess, any way to really know that that was even something to look for until the last few years. And like these chemicals are in, namely firefighting foam, things like that, but it's in clothing, like for waterproofing for clothing. And there's that explainer is basically what the EPA puts out to kind of explain what PFAS are. And there are some mitigation things or things that we could possibly do in the future to remove that in part of our process. But I think the big push is to remove them from even getting into the water supplies at all. That's kind of what the EPA's approach is. That's why these companies like DuPont and 3M are getting their wrists slapped and getting fines for these chemicals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none, how would council like to proceed?
Sounds like it's win-win. I mean, I wouldn't see any reason why you wouldn't be part of that, just in case there's compensation coming our way. So there's no disputes against it. I would like to introduce Resolution 2025-104.
Resolution number 2025-104 was introduced by Councilmember Clark, approving the contract for legal services with Stagg, Luza LLC, and Matson Law Firm, forming, PFF and PFS regulation. It's too late.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-104, or -104 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-104. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Green, surely you have nothing else to say.
Oh, you know me better than that, Mayor, so thank you very much. So no, again, greatly appreciate all the good support. It's great to have these professionals to be able to get up here at times and talk about various issues that the city is facing. Just a couple things to bring to your attention. Good news is, we still are on schedule for the traffic signals to be turned on later this week. So unfortunately, CJ and I are both going to be gone on Thursday. So if you happen to go by there and see it, post something online, something like that. But we're still looking forward to them being turned on Thursday. The decision has been made that we are going to proceed with a 5th Tuesday meeting next week. So it happens to be a September one this year. So on September 30th, we're going to be meeting at 6 o'clock, not at 7 o'clock. So a week from tonight, 6 o'clock. And we will shoot hard to try to be done in an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half tops. We do have 3 items now that we're going to be talking a little bit about that night. We'll try to keep them short and to the point. We'll be talking a little bit about NIMS, and Jake will be talking about the importance of the National Incident Management System, a little bit about its background, the role that it plays for local municipalities. We'll talk a little bit about the training that some of you and the rest of our staff will have to go through, so elected officials do have a role to play in that. And then we'll also talk a little bit about hazard mitigation grants and the hazard mitigation plans that are out there that all are a part of NIMS. We also then will be talking that night about occupation taxes and other potential revenue sources. We'll talk some again next week about do you want to pursue the half-cent sales tax again? Because now's the time to be gearing up for that if we want it on the spring ballot next year. And then the third issue that we're going to talk about is just BSNA and the upcoming conversion of our finance system, building permits, all those kinds of things. We go live November 17th, and a month and a half ago, that seemed like a long ways away, but it's right around the corner. October's next week. It's the middle of the following month. So we've got some things to have to talk about right now regarding BSNA and especially on utility billing. So we've got some specific issues that we need to run by you and get your feedback on it, because there will be at least probably 2 special letters going out to all of our customers explaining a little bit about this upcoming conversion. It's going to be very similar to what we went through with Front Desk a year and a half ago. And so everyone having to go online, create some accounts, get ready for that conversion, and potentially some procedural changes that people will be facing. So we need to talk about all that next week. Many of you have been hearing some concerns and complaints regarding 1600 Washington Street and the former Fernando's building. So I want you to know that city staff is taking this very, very seriously. We had a long meeting today to kind of talk about some of the things that we can be doing. We're somewhat constrained, and unfortunately the citizens get frustrated with that. We have to wait a certain amount of time, but we're drawing nearer to that. It's been almost 6 months or 180 days since some significant work had been done on that site, and that's the key date that really begins to give us some little bit of muscle. So we have a letter that's being drafted right now. We'll try to get it out in the next 7 to 10 days to the property owner and the contractor, letting them know that, in our opinion, that they have suspended and abandoned work. That's a significant thing when it comes to building construction. We will remind them that they have exceeded their agreement with the city regarding the closing of the sidewalk and the using of the parking stalls along the streets. We will let them know that we are concerned that because of the way the building is situated right now, that he's allowing decay to occur on the structure, which is a property maintenance concern, and therefore we'll be officially putting him on notice that he has 10 days to commence work again, or further action will be taken. What that further action will be then is that if he fails to work or proceed, that it could lead to us hiring an outside company to come in and secure the site, to protect it from the elements. All the costs associated with that would be billed back to the owner. If the owner fails to pay those within 2 months, they'll be assessed against the property. So all of this will be explained in the letter. We'll also explain to him that failure to begin construction again will result in the impounding of any items that are on the sidewalk or in the parking areas, and we will open those back up to the public. So we will do and have been doing what we can, but you have certain statutory limits that you have to wait for, and certain things to be done. But we do take it very serious, and we will be moving forward with that. Lastly, just want to remind you that the League of Nebraska Municipalities has their annual fall conference coming up the rest of this week. So much of the staff, senior staff, will be in Lincoln tomorrow through Friday. CJ is actually going to be out of town during this time as well. So, don't hesitate, though, to reach out to us via phone, via text, email, something like that. But I may see several of you in Lincoln. So, any questions that you have for me? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. All right then, I'd like to propose a motion to adjourn this meeting of Blair City Council.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
James definitely won this one.